People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. As I said, as I've previously said, but yeah, Fridays equals Q&A days. In the near future, there's going to be a lot of changes to this. It is, as much as I like speaking with you guys and offering my time and stuff, it is pretty time consuming. And, obviously, as I keep pushing and trying to re-strategize and better myself, things have to be done differently. So there's going to be changes to this. This might not necessarily be a thing anymore. It could be fortnightly, it could be put behind a certain Patreon. There's certain things that have to be done now. But nonetheless, thank you very much for your questions across YouTube, across Twitter, etc. I'm not gonna lie, people, I do understand there's time difference problems and things with setting deadlines. And, not that I'm trying to be snooty or something, but I've purposely set a deadline. So sometimes when I see questions, it always makes me laugh. It's like, can you not read? And today I've actually, 9 times out of 10, I actually allow it and just answer it. To make a point, I've purposely ignored some. So, because I said 4 o'clock UK time, that was yesterday, and I'm seeing something 2 hours ago. Like, please just read, man. But anyways, moving forward, Mr. Adlib has said, who's your top 10 underrated players of the Emirates era? I'm not going to lie, you put me on the spot. Underrated, off the top of my mind's gone blank, man. Underrated, I think Tierney's gonna get in there soon, but he is rated. My mind's actually blank today, my guy. I don't think I can answer that. Top 10 underrated. Monreal, throw Monreal in there. I think he was a good serviceman. One of my first ever videos on my channel was Santi Cazorla. I think now he's getting his appreciation. There's that. Arshavin had his plaudits, but I think he deserved more plaudits personally, so I guess I'll throw him in there. Mine's gone blank apart from that. That's the only names I can think of. Monreal's the only one that really sticks out in my mind, man. Put me on the spot there, I'm not too sure, my guy. And you said, do you think people are harsh and quick to forget Eddie's record for under 23s? It's irrelevant. Like, it's actually irrelevant, Shout out to Eddie for scoring them goals. It's a bit like Balogun. People are talking about all these goals Balogun scored at under 23s level. Don't get it twisted. It's fantastic. The records are good. But, 9 times out of 10, there is no correlation between the two. Like, playing in the first team, we've seen many a striker go and fail to replicate that form. Equally, I've seen strikers that weren't necessarily prolific as such in youth academies. They've gone into the first team environment and they are everything which is prolific, literally the dictionary term. So it's obviously it's an indicator of ability, but it means nothing. And for Eddie, it's irrelevant. It means F all what he's done at under 23s level is what he's doing in the first team. Because if I want to be harsh on Eddie, some of the chances I see him score with his eyes closed at 23s, he's missing, and the games are going different ways. He needs to be a bit more clinical. His under 23s record is irrelevant when you look at the first team. Now again, obviously, there's a massive step up. Obviously, he's only 21, he's still learning and all of these sort of things, but it's irrelevant. Like, it is mad irrelevant. Like, what you've done at 23s, it don't matter. How many, it's not necessarily the same, but how many of you have seen someone that's faster than everybody, stronger than everybody, has got more skills than everybody? The minute he's thrown into the first team environment, you cannot tell him apart from anyone. So to a degree, it's irrelevant. I don't think people are quick to forget because it has no relevance per se. Zach has said, Socrates and Mustafi are still here. Are you concerned because there's enough centre-backs on the books right now? I wouldn't say I'm concerned. But, you've got to get a move on. Socrates today I've seen is in talks with Napoli. They're not trying to pay a fee. Mustafi, Arteta had a little role for him, but in an ideal world, you'd want to move him on. Diabolical has said, thoughts on Bell and Reguilon returning to the Lily Whites. Reguilon's a good signing, you'll do well to train him for a year or two before he goes back to Madrid. Bale, I want Bale in the Prem. I used to work at Spurs, he's a nice guy, so, I don't know him personally beyond asking him for a picture, but when somebody's nice, you want to see them do well in their life. And football, I know he's earned a lot of money, but it's a profession, so, as much as I'm not fond of Spurs, if that individual can go somewhere where he feels important and, feels the love again, then why not? I think he's going to be a success in the Prem. It's Gareth Bale. If I was a Spurs fan, personally, I want to play him behind Harry Kane, but I understand he could be playing on the right. Kane, Bale, Son, these are some good options. Bell can't save them all the time and whatnot, so you're going to need to probably bring in a centre-half and maybe do some other things, but they're good options, You can't really complain. You have better options to fight for the top four. Jose can't make any excuses. People might look at Bell's age and might say, alright, cool, there's some truth in that, but look at Aubameyang and Vardy, 33 and 31/32 respectively. Bell's of the same age. I don't know for Bell's conditioning, how he looks after himself. And the only concern I have for Bell is that it might take a while before you see, the Gareth Bell of Madrid in his prime and the one that was obviously doing his thing for Spurs, because he hasn't played. Last season, I believe the BBC said he played 100 minutes. I don't know what he's been doing in pre-season. He was taken off against 4 Wales after 45 minutes, so his physical conditioning isn't quite there. So he might be a week or two or whatever before, you might get 60% Bell, and that's a baller, but I'm saying before you see 100% sort of Bale sort of thing. Obviously his injury record is a thing, because it's not like Aubameyang where he's near, not that I'm comparing the two, but Aubameyang's touch wood injury free. Bale has had a lot of niggles, so when you're getting these niggles and constant breakdowns and you're not necessarily fit, those are some concerns. But I think he's going to be a success. Good ballers are good ballers. I'm keen to see what he does in the Prem. I only ask you not to turn up for 2 games in that fixture calendar list. So big up Bale, man. I wouldn't call you lot mighty lily whites. To be a mighty team, you gotta have trophies, man. I had to do it. Diabolical. I couldn't resist. Young Gooner says, if Bellarin goes, which right back do you want? Well, nowadays it'd be Lamperty, but it can't happen. So I would like Semedo, really and truly, but we can't afford that. So unless it's a swap deal, it's a myth. Jack has said, hi Deluded, with Arsenal having so many centre-backs right now, people seem to forget we signed Pablo Marie in January. He was the best centre-back in the CONMBOL. I know that's an acronym, but I can't say that, man. Last season, and he's also a left-footed centre-half. So my question is, how does he fit into the squad this season? Will we only see him in FA Cup/Europa League? I don't know, if we play 3 at the back, in an ideal world, David Luiz is a leader and whatnot. But as the season goes on, you want to see David Luiz's role kind of diminish and become more of a vocal sort of dressing room thing and move forward with the players that are going to be here for the significant future. I'm speaking specifically about Saliba and Gabriel. Holding seems to have earned a role under Arteta, so there's also that. Ideally a back 4. And there's Marie. Now, nobody knows Marie's true level. Again, I weren't watching the Spanish lad when he was at Flamengo. I watched the game against Liverpool, but I wasn't watching, man, in that division religiously. I didn't watch him when he was in the 2nd division in Spain. If you did, or anyone else did, then fair play. But I don't know his true base level, and he hasn't had too many opportunities at Arsenal to show me his level, Against City, he came off injured, but he showed me he has a problem with pace. I'm sure he started at the Emirates against someone and looked alright. I think it was a winning debut. Something tells me Villa, but I know it weren't Villa because I just don't think it was them. And then obviously he's played against Portsmouth. What I've seen so far, I think he's going to have a problem with pace. I think he can pass the ball, but what I like about him, he's a bit like Chambers in that. One thing I'll give Chambers is that you don't see them man there try and do stuff that's above their pay grade. Like, they'll do the passes they know they can do and stick to their position. And if that's Marie, cool. I don't really, I don't know his base level of performance. I'm just hoping that, for me, Gabriel and Saliba are my main guys. Marie, Holding, you lot. When there's injuries or when there's rotation or if we go to 3 at the back, you lot can step in and there's no mad drop-off in our defence, because there might be sometimes Tierney might not play there and Saka and Martinelli, Saka and Maitland-Niles have to play left back or whatever at right back and whatever with the combinations in central defence. I don't want to, obviously when you're losing certain players you'll see a difference, but I don't want the drop off to be mad. I don't want to be playing at one level when everyone's here, this level when we've made a couple rotations, and this level when everybody's fit, and then this level when we've made rotations. We don't need that, and that's only going to come when everybody understands how to defend. I do think Marie's a forgotten man, but I don't think people are forgetting, because on one hand he's not been exposed to too much football, and he's had injuries and whatnot and these things, but is it something he's not doing in training? Is he a squad player? I don't know. What time will tell, but hopefully he could just prove a competent option when his time comes. Emmanuel said, what do you think of Martinelli not being nominated for the Golden Boy Award? In my opinion, it's a disgrace. Find that one a bit weird, but at the end of the day, accolades come when you do your business. Martinelli, it is what it is. Forget it. You're going to cry over a Golden Ball nomination. Just keep developing. All that matters is, you know, you look after yourself on the football field, everything else will take place, you know. And I mean, we've seen it with Saka's being nominated for end of season awards. We're seeing it with this. It is what it is, my guy, man. It is what it is, man. I know Martinelli's good. He knows he's good. Arsenal fans and the club know he's good. So let's keep doing his thing. I've seen lesser players on that, but it is what it is. Moving away from that, Brian has said, what opposition playing style could cause the current Arsenal setup the most problems? How would you set up to get a result against us? First and foremost, be aggressive. Be aggressive, win my second, third balls. First, second of all, 2 banks of 4. This Arsenal team cannot break down teams consistently. Make sure you can't be broken down. Press that back forward. Now, Arteta has shown they're able to get out of it, but almost set up a false press. Don't let them play with that back 3 or back 4, but the minute they step up, you press and mark, and then there's no options. If they have to play it long, granted, play it long. Aubameyang's the only problem if they're playing it long. Lacazette can hold up the ball, double up against him, he's irrelevant. So that's how I would set up, man, really and truly. And take advantage of set pieces. Arsenal have just employed a set piece coach, so clearly it's an area they recognise there's improvements to do at both ends. Exploit that sort of thing. Even in the Fulham game, you know, down our left hand side, Fulham were breaking forward, so there is opportunities. Arsenal do still struggle to follow runners, so make sure you've got late midfield runners. Make sure your strikers, before the ball's coming in, loses their defenders. We've seen it several times. It's a bit of an open book. Stephen has said, if we can't sign Partey, would you take Locatelli from Sassuolo? He's an alright midfielder, to be fair. If we can't get Partey, I'd rather just keep Torreira, to be fair with you. But if we're not going to get certain other targets, but yeah. Saqib has said, where realistically do you think we can finish in the Premier League this season? I don't know, my guy. I ain't got a crystal ball. We've played one match. You know, if you was to ask me, I think we're going to finish outside the top 4. That's what my brain is telling me. My heart is saying we can. I don't know. We're going to have to see. Planet X has said, there was a lot of talk about how Raul Sanllehi would utilise his connections with agents for advantage. Hypothetically, what if we had someone like Raul but dealt with outgoings and sales, helping us get good prices before personal terms are discussed? Well, you know, that's it's not a hypothetical thing. Like, Raul Sanllehi should be doing that, you know. You should be doing the same thing you're doing, bringing in players, should be the things getting out, and that's probably what we need. So you've hit the nail on the head, Planet, man. And big up you, because you're always there, man. You're always doing your thing and in my comments, offering nice words. So that's what I believe. Peter Arnold has said, what are your thoughts on Matt Macy? I'm disappointed we let João Virginia go to Everton. Understandably, you can't hold on to all these players, but he looks a decent keeper. He is a decent keeper. You know, he's still learning. Believe yesterday actually played for Everton. I could be wrong. He did struggle when he left Everton to go on loan to Reading on loan. So he's still learning. I would have liked to have kept him. He had a good Portuguese under-19s championship, and the pathway was looking open for him before he went to Everton. But you know, it is what it is. In that opinion, in my opinion, he's doing his thing. Matt Macy, I don't rate Matt Macy. My opinion doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Matt Macy is playing for Arsenal Football Club. Matt Macy is in the team. I think he's shit. Pardon my language. I think he's mad shit. Like, I don't like to say that, but I think he is. Like, I think he puts pressure on his teammates. I think his passing isn't good enough. I just think he's not good enough for this club. So that's all I have to say on Matt Macy. I don't think he's good enough. Nathan Brown has said, DG, hope you're good. Your football analysing is top class. Your knowledge on youth football is second to none. Why haven't you pursued careers in those fields previously? I think you're selling me a bit very highly with the football analysing top class and knowledge. They're just passions of mine. And I am trying, bro. It's just, I don't know where to start, really. You need connections and you need unnecessary qualifications, really and truly. But I don't know. It just, in England, it's a bit gazy. It's who you know. And it's like, am I prepared? Do I love it enough to probably be underpaid and probably have to stress about bills and, you know, consistently see people worse than me go in the revolving door? It could get a bit long, but it is something I'm pursuing. But it's who you know, man. It's who you know. Mr. Adlib has said, massive fan of your channel. Really want to see you win, bro. Thank you very much. It means the world. But without pre-in man's pockets, what would have to happen before you go full time with the YouTube thing? I want to, my guy. My job frustrates the hell out of me. I'm quite close to, you know. I'd say the only thing that holds me back is the fear of not being able to pay my bills. You know, how would I do it as well? Like, okay, if I woke up tomorrow and said I'm going to go full time, okay, what am I going to do now? I'd love to do it, but it needs a strategy. Now, I think I do have a strategy and I think I am close to that. But, you know, I'd say the main thing is paying my bills at the end of the day. You know, you're not going to pay them for me and I'm not going to pay yours for you. So it just boils down to that, man. really. But I'd love to, man. I really love to, especially because without talking too tough at work, man, they were starting to really cripple my Deluded stuff. You know, they were very supportive at first, and I think they saw I'm actually quite of a big deal, and now they got a problem, and there's serious obo on it. But moving forward, Claudius has said, big up DG. There are many African Caribbean heritage players that play for UK home nations. What could a West Indies team look like? Off the top of my head, you've got Sanjo, Sterling. You know, you could have a lot of people. You could have Sanjo, Sterling, Kyle Walker, you know, just about, you could have so many, you know. And maybe you should follow something like the cricket's team and just link up everything. Who knows, man. Antonio Banker said, do you have something in place with Rants in Turkish? I like and enjoy the content with you guys. Can I even get hold of Turkish to make videos? No, I mean, I do my show with Rants, and, you know, occasionally with Turkish it's proven quite difficult to get these shows done. But, yeah, man, they're both cool guys. I do my, you know, every week I'm on Rants' show with in some capacity. So, yeah, man, and them two do their own show as well. So, yeah, man, keep supporting the content from the Mandem, man. It means a lot, man. Seriously, thank you very much for that one, Antonio. Patrick has said, I hate to be optimistic, but our team is looking. Sorry, let me just read the relevant parts. You said, if we get one of either Partey or Aouar, I think we already have a quite serious team. But with both, don't you think if Arteta does his magic, we'd be able to challenge for the top 4 and maybe win a trophy or two? Maybe the first task is winning the top 4. I mean, getting into the top 4, and I'd say you'd have to really try hard in the Europa, in my opinion. Regardless of who comes in, that's the goal. So I don't think the goal changes too much. As Jamie said, my question for you: why is the deadline not at 5 PM? Because DG does what he wants. Juna said, keep or sell Kolasinac? Sell, really. And you said, do you think Guendouzi has the mentality to turn around his Arsenal career if he hasn't moved on this season? Well, he's going to have to get on with it and roll his socks up and stop crying for 6 months. And I'd like to think he has shown that he can do that. So I'd say yes. So I think that's all the questions asked of me via Twitter. I mean, via YouTube. Let's go on Twitter real quick, people. 1 second, my guy. Somebody just Mandem just DM'd me and threw me completely off what I was saying, man. But questions asked via Twitter now. Big up Planet X again. He's there again, man. Big up him, man. I'll tell you a good story about Planet X. Yeah. There was one day, yeah. Like everyone's got hard times, and I won't get specific in it. But listen, this period, yeah, like you wouldn't see it with my YouTube vids, but you could anyone that knew me in my personal life, like you knew something was up. Like I do a good job of hiding my problems. Like even now I could be going through things, but the minute I turn on this camera, you know, I owe it to you lot to be professional. Same way you step on the field. But long story short, there was one time, I swear to you people, this happened many times, but listen, YouTube was, making videos was the least of my concerns. Like, listen, I was vexed, I was feeling stressed, and literally, like, I don't even think he knew, he just said one nice comment, and it made me put things in perspective. It calmed me down, and it actually made me keep going harder and harder, man. And it sounds cliche, but I genuinely appreciate that, man. Like, big up yourself, man. I know you're in Australia as well, so you're doing a mazza with watching my content. You said, I'm sure you saw the idiotic comments from the French football president about racism. If you don't make a video about this before the Q&A, what are your thoughts and the actions that should be taken? Well, I mean, it's the same old, man. You've got that MP talking up, you know, it's the same old, man, because you look at the, you know, I don't know how much you're involved, because like I said, you're in Australia. I don't know how much you know about British TV and them shows and them things, but I can't remember the group's name. Is it Diversity? They did a Black Lives Matter dance, and people are up in arms. People are up in arms. People get up in arms about that, about the players' protest, about effing Alex Scott, who's better than most of these pundits talking about football. Yeah, so they're obvious. So this is the nonsense they come out with. The other day, you know, with that complaining about the Black Lives Matter thing. You've had people come out and saying, you know, they should be muggers. They should do videos about muggers and stuff, with obviously connotations to black people and robberies and things. Where if we want to play that, listen, you know me, people. If we want to play that, let's look at the demographics according to paedophilia, you know, and see what that is saying, and let's see if we should do things on that then, if we're gonna do this prejudice thing. But it's stupid comments. But I mean, in 2021, I mean, in the 21st century, you just keep seeing stupid comments, you know. For those who don't know, he more or less said there's no racism. It doesn't exist of this nature. You know, I don't want to keep saying he's an old man set in his ways. And when you're in an elitist position, you're in an illusion. You know, I thought I was deluded, my guy. He's an effing idiot. You know, that's all I have to say. It's mundane comments. They're idiotic comments. They don't come from a place of any sense. And I felt, you know what, let me not even do a video on that, you know, cause there's some racist videos or acts of racism, you know me, I'll always speak about them there. I feel a moral obligation to do these vids, but that one there, I just looked at him like, yeah, idiot, you know, I don't even want to waste my time speaking on you. Oh, you're an idiot. Like, to be that old and thinking of your way and probably going to die on your deathbed with those retarded views is quite a sad life. Let's just hope, you know, God is as forgiving as they say he is across all religious books, and you can find a way into the heavenly gates, because hell is hot, you know, and the crow there is probably dead. But you moving forward, Fly Them has said, I've been told it's crucial to have a mentor when going for coaching badges or scouting badges. Would you agree? It's always beneficial to have a mentor in all walks of life. Someone that's walked the walk more than you, someone that's done it, someone that can tell you the ways they could have done it, someone that can tell you about things you don't know, someone that can get the creative juices flowing. You know, my first mentor was my coach Darren. He's the reason I did these videos, because he changed the way I see football. I remember the day the penny dropped about football. I felt like Philip Lahm. We was doing the drill, I was the fullback, he was talking, and I just looking at him in admiration, like, nah, football makes sense today, you know. He's the reason, you know. Pep Guardiola has had mentors, you know. Arsene Wenger, every great man has had mentors. In their time of need, there's someone they can go to, you know. I definitely, if you can find a mentor in any aspect, not just football, scouting, in life, do it, man. Make sure they're doing it for the right reasons, because you got to find someone that legitimately loves it, because I found a lot of mentors just like saying they're mentors to put on their CVs and stroke their own egos. The game is the game. So, yeah, man, I'd say be aware of that. Thomas said, DG, hope you're well. Have we been playing Rob Holding in the wrong position all along? He's clearly got the natural flair and ability to operate in the 10 position. Have we accidentally stumbled across our role, Neymar? Best of luck in the football blacklist awards. Thank you very much for your well wishes, people. Please make sure you're voting. The links are in the description. I know Tom's serious. He obviously doesn't believe Holding's that, but you never know, man. He's better than Cannavaro. We speak about ball playing centre halves, and what a bit of play that was, you know. That kind of led to the goal. It felt to Lacazette, and he earned the corner, I know, but yeah, maybe. But on a serious note, man, you know, I want to see I like Holding, you know. I want to see Holding play well this season. I want to see him do his thing when his chance is called upon, and you know, all he can do. It's not about ability and all of these things. Like, for me, Gabriel and Saliba, you know, in the near distant future, that's my first choice centre halves. You know, but football is earned. You know, Holding, just because I don't think you're as good as them, go and earn your spot. Go and take it from them. You know, I don't want Gabriel and Saliba to play if Arteta don't feel weren't running into the week. They haven't been the sharpest. You know, I want the best players that have been performing both in the matches and training. You know, spots are earned. Go and put pressure. We need these problems. You know, we had pressure with Leno and Martinez. Obviously, Leno still was the #1 and hasn't got pressure. You know, you've got Matt Macy, who I don't think much of. You've got a couple academy keepers who might have potential, but it's unrealistic to think they're ever going to dislodge my man. And, you know, there's talk of a backup keeper. With our Europa League campaign, you'd imagine we need to get that one done. So, yeah, man. Adam has said, DG, don't know if you've noticed Bellarin drive inside when attacking the opposition half. You think it's a directive from Arteta, and you said would you see that working when Pepe's on the ball, given he does that too? Keep up with the great content, bro. I see it, Adam, man. I see it. I know what you mean. You see, sometimes you see Bellarin be inverted. Sometimes you see Bellarin and Maitland do it at the same time. Sometimes it's either or. You know, they mix it up. I like it a lot because it tells me that the players are being calculated. You know, like I said, at times both fullbacks and wingers are out wide. Sometimes some's narrow. Sometimes they're both narrow. This confuses a fullback. You know, if I'm a fullback, I'm confused by this. I don't know if to stick or twist. I don't know to get tight to people or to drop off. I'm telling my winger to come and help me. I don't know what to tell my winger to do. So it creates this disruption. I do see it. Admittedly, for me, I want to see Bellarin do a bit better in the attacking sense. I want to see him overlap a bit more. I want to see him do a bit more like Maitland-Niles, because that will bring the best out to a degree in Pepe. Pepe has to do what he needs to do to be better, and it's not all nothing to do with Bellarin, but we need to lock down a real partnership down that right-hand side. Personally, I'm hoping that will come with going to a back four or and moving Maitland-Niles across, or if we are going to play a back three, you know, moving Tierney back into his natural role at left back, being a left wing back in that role, and obviously Maitland-Niles on the right, and then you have 3 natural defenders. So I do think he's obviously being told that by Arteta. I do think Bellerin's improved that a bit in that first game, and that's an area Arteta's probably watching, because you know Arteta keeps making comments about right backs overlapping, and he needs to see that. And he, you know, the way he talked up Cedric Suarez, you know, Bellarin, that's an area he needs to improve in. What other questions have we got? I've just lost where I am. Pardon me. Each one teach one has said, another guy that makes cool comments and keeps a guy going. You said, blessings, hope you're doing well mentally and physically. I hope the same for you and everyone listening. You said, if we don't manage to do any more business in the window, do you think we have enough to get back in the top 4? I think everyone will have a part to play in Arteta's plans, or he will send them on loan. We have to use what we have. In my heart, no. I do think we have, regardless of who comes in, I think we have the ingredients to put up more of a fight, you know, not be blown out the window, so soon in the top 4 race. Put more of a fight. Do I think we'd fall short? Yes. But I do think there'd be a bit more fight and things, and a lot of that, all of that really is to do with Arteta and the players listening to what he says. I don't think we have enough for top 4 in the midfield. Like, big up El Nene and Xhaka. You know, Xhaka's been playing well, and Nene seems to have forced a role for himself. And that's good in week 1. But are we going to keep saying the same when it gets to week 36, week 30, week 27? You get it? Because players are going to have bad games. Players are going to have stinkers, you know. Aubameyang's, everything he touches scoring. Aubameyang's going to miss penalties and be anonymous. Lacazette is the same. Everyone's going to have bad games, loss of form and whatever. And, you know, everyone on their day can beat anyone. On our day, you've shown what we can do to Wembley. For me, it's about how we play on our worst. Can we still win when we play terrible, when we don't deserve to? And Arsenal are probably yet to fully convincingly showing that, you know. You look at Man United, yeah, if you go through all of Man United's goal highlights, or if you go through all of Arsenal's title winning highlights, yeah, 9 times out of 10 they're popping these teams. But there's times of adversity where they stand, you know. It could, you know, when we got knocked out of cup competitions in the Invincible season and Henry had to pattern it for us, or there's tough games many a time during the treble season United had to come from behind, or for all of United's title winners, you know. It's how you play on them games that decides everything, and only time will tell, man. Only time will tell. DG, given that England has left the EU and English clubs can't buy youngsters from other countries in the EU after December, I thought Arsenal would have brought in more overseas youngsters and maybe send them on loan and something to get away with. Well, I don't know the plans, man. It does feel like when we've lost Gnabry, Marlon, Benassia, Bielik, whether they've been given opportunities here or not, it's like we've just said, like Dragomir, we've said, you know what, we're going to do the British thing. And we've still lost British players, you know. Josh Da Silva's walked out the door, Musa's walked out the door to Valencia. You look at Josh Da Silva, that's probably 20 million for Brentford now if he moves. So I'd say it just looks like we just said, you know what, we're just going to focus on the English thing. For me, I would like us to see us exploit that. Like you said, if we can't buy them after December, we need to exploit that. And you see Man United doing that. Ethan has said, thoughts on Balogun supposedly signing a new 4-year deal. Well, I haven't seen it from anywhere credible. If it does happen, I'm all for it. It's a player that could have a future at Arsenal. It's a player that can make money for Arsenal. So I'd be all for that. But if I was him, I would probably delay signing that deal unless you can't demand promises, but see how you really feature, because he's 19. You know, he doesn't have to be the finished article. He has no right to demand consistent 90 minutes football. But what he needs is a pathway. He can't keep playing 23s, and what he needs is a pathway. He needs to look at it without emotion. I'm sure he wants to make it at Arsenal. But Aubameyang, granted he's playing on the flanks, has signed a new deal. Lacazette is still here for a year at least. Tyrese is probably ahead of you on the basis he's closer to the first team. He has gone out on loan. You've got Eddie, who, like Tyrese, is of a similar age to you. You know, this is all assuming the club don't bring in another striker. Are you going to get game time? Now, the club could also play you on the flanks, you know, for game time. But are you going to get game time up front? If so, how much? You know, is the occasional cup competition good enough? Is training with the team good enough? You know, chances will come back at the same time. Is it worth going somewhere where you'll play straight away or be blooded in straight away? Is there somewhere where, you know, you might not necessarily play straight away, you might need to settle in, but the minute you do settle in, there's a direct pathway. He needs to be selfish. He needs to do things he can do where he, you know, a year from now, he's looking like I'm dramatically a better player. He needs to be selfish. For Arsenal, obviously, you're letting millions go out the door if you let him leave. You know, 3 million was rejected from Sheffield. Apparently, they made an inquiry. But I want him to stay. But you know what? I've seen better players leave. You know, I've young players are going to keep leaving. I've seen better players leave. So I'm not going to cry, man. I've seen Musa leave. You know, I've seen Gnabry leave. I don't really care, really, to be fair with you, as much as I want him to stay. Not a fan of the social media antics he does as well, man. He seems crying out for attention. You know, when it's a Aubameyang's deal, when you're doing the hourglass, or you know your teammates are training with the first team and you're saying must be nice. Again, it just screams like someone that just crying out for a bit of attention and playing up to social media. Where if you do that, that's fine. And like I said, you should do that, but it's just a bit tiresome, man. So yeah, man. Johan said, I saw recently that Southampton changed their under-23 side to Southampton B. What's the significant difference, if any? Do you think more sides will adopt the BT model? Love for the content, 50k soon. Admittedly, I should have done my research. If they mean B team in that they're disbanding things and they're going to play against more senior teams in friendlies or in the league, then I'm all for that. Is it just a name change? I'm not too sure. Like I said, I need to do my research. But generally, my dude, I do believe, you know, we're missing a trick not bridging the gap between 23s and maybe the lower leagues, because it doesn't, 23s football don't prepare, man. It don't prepare. Pardon me, it doesn't prepare man mentally, it doesn't prepare man physically, it doesn't prepare man in terms of consistency. Under 23s, you're not playing you're not playing every 3 days. You're playing once a week, maybe if that. 9 times out of 10 you might have a cup take team. So, you know, it's all fun and games being at it 1 week, but can you do it on a Sunday and then go and do it on a Tuesday midweek? Or do it on a Saturday and then a Tuesday? You know, many players can't, because they, you know, they're still learning, and it's about trying to bridge that gap and allowing them the chance to learn that. So I do think we're missing a trick, and for me as well, we also lose a lot of players tactically. Like I look at Dan Crowley and Woodburn of Liverpool. You know, they were both at one point hot on the lips of fans of both clubs. You know, they're still young, and at the end of the day, they're still professional footballers. But I look at them as, you know, they're very technical based players, and I do think, you know, the bias against technical based players, if they don't go on loan where a manager really understands them, and like Emil Smith-Rowe at Huddersfield, it can get long for people. You know, you look at Dan Crowley, he went to Oxford, he's a creative midfielder, he's playing at a team that plays long balls, he's not a physical man, he's a technical based player, he's playing in a formation that he ain't played before, 4-4-2, and he's stationed on the flanks. And you're playing League 1 where the ball's not League 2, so or League 1-2 where the ball's up in the air and you're not physical like that, and you're still trying to learn and consistency and all these things, you're not gonna thrive. You're gonna come back, you're lost on confidence. That's why I think a long spell is good for most players, but you need to look at the player. Not every player can just go out on loan and thrive and things like that. It's not always set up. So with that, you know, if I have technical based players, like I said, and I think they're struggling when they go out on loan, then I might set up this bit. My B team is obviously going to prepare man for that. You know, we're going to set up that. So we are missing a trick. In relation to how it could be implemented perfectly, I don't know, because if you ask Spanish people, you know, we always say do the Spain model, and it's true. But if you speak to a lot of Spaniards, they do speak highly of that system, but it's not perfect. So it's a difficult one. Mania said, what are your thoughts on the Haaland boys and their prospects for this season, referring to those already in the first team? It's sink or swim. Like, you're old enough in that, you know, you're still going to have be professional footballers and have good careers, but it's sink or swim. Maitland-Niles is trying to seize his opportunity. You know, Saka, he'll never get complacent. Saka, you know, I know Saka's going to do his thing. But when you look at Eddie, when you look at Joe, when you look at Nelson, when you look at Emil, you could all still have futures. But do you want to be playing games, or do you want to be, you know, just part of this, waiting for the occasional Europa League, not always in the match day squad? You've got to seize your opportunities, you know. I hope it works, you know. Emil, how are you going to get game time? I don't know. If we sign midfielders, it could be, you know, Arteta wants to use him, but he can be used in central midfield as well as the 10 and the flanks are overloaded. So, you know, you're going to have to seize your opportunities, man. And he's gone on loan to Huddersfield. He should have more confidence. Nelson, you know, Williams coming and he's complicated wide options. You know, it could be a case to go out on loan. But I think Arteta likes him and will utilise him. He can play he can play left, right, and in the 10. So there's options for him. But again, Emil and Nelson, there's cases to go out on loan. Joe the same. You know, Joe, are you going to play significant football? You know, you have to show in that 10 role you can get goals and assists. For me, show that you can actually play competent in that role. You can play them sick passes and things, because I do think he looks a bit brainless in that role. Eddie, you know, he's doing well. Out of all, you know, when you exclude Maitland-Niles to a degree and Saka and that, you know, he's done the best in my opinion. He's gone from, you know, you had probably Emil, Joe, Nelson and Eddie, all of that, Smith-Rowe as well, I've already said that, all of that same level and that they're squad players. Eddie's sort of a rotation option now. He's kept Lacazette out the side. I ain't seen Nelson keep people out the side, apart from when Arteta started during big games. I've definitely seen Emil do that. Joe is just here and there, so they're going to have to really seize their opportunities if they want to start being more of a main player. You know, you need to target playing 20 games minimum for you lot proper 20 games, not 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 80 minutes and all these things. You know, they've got to show that you're on this thing. Don Mikel said, are people underestimating Arteta's tactical prowess? Because personally, I think he's on a level above Ollie and Lampard. At this moment in time, I think he is as well. I think that's the one thing people can't underestimate, and I think it's obvious you can't. You know, he's getting praised for the tactics. He's getting praised for how he set up the team. So I think that's one thing. Nah, man, I think he gets his plaudits for that one still. But again, it's same energy, because he will get tactics wrong. Of course, people, he will get things wrong. So the same way we're praising him, we need to look at him in a different regards at times. I think that's all the questions of the Q&A, people. I'm going back to last week's Q&A to see if there's anything, which I've done. Someone said, can you do more watch-alongs once the Prem starts? I think I've done, well, there's only been one game, so I've done one. I've done the Community Shield. I'll keep that coming if that's what you lot want, man. I didn't think you lot like that, but I'll go through. I'll go through with that and do that for this game against West Ham as well, if that's what you lot want. Subway Boomer said, instant vote, my G. This sports scene needs to take you in proper. Big up yourself for that one, man. I think that's it, really. Yeah, there's no more questions, people. So what can I say, people? Somebody asked a question five thingies ago as well. Sorry, man, I can't answer that. Like, I need to start having some principles. But on that note, it's been a fantastic Q&A, people. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Please make sure you check out the description and vote for me quickly. More often than not, people, please make sure you check out my content, because there's also stuff. There's always more stuff for you. More importantly than that, stay safe, man. DG.